morning, students. So, in today's class, I will teach you how to sketch the Bodeplot. So, in the last two classes, I have taught you how to prepare the magnitude plot table and the phase plot table. So, keeping that in mind, I will teach you in today's class how to sketch the Bodeplot. So, as I said you, Bodeplot is sketched on the semi-log graph sheet and not on the ordinary graph sheet. And the second point to be remembered is the magnitude plot as well as the phase plot both are plotted on the same semi-log graph sheet. So first on the top we sketch the magnitude plot and below we sketch the phase plot. It's not that we do both of them in two different graphs, but we have to sketch both of them in the same plot in the same similar graph sheet. So I will tell you how to do that procedure. So this was the first problem that I had taken, and for that, see, just look at the question: 50 by s into 0.5 s plus 1 into 0.05 s plus 1. So for this problem, you have to sketch the Bode plot, and you have to determine, you have to find out whether the system is stable or unstable. So to do that, I will tell you what is the procedure that you are supposed to follow. So now we know how to prepare the magnitude plot table. So I'll just take you to the plot table what we have actually prepared earlier. So this is the magnitude plot table which we have already prepared. Now just look into the plot here. We have three different factors here, and I have mentioned the corner frequency. The corner frequency we find that it is 20 and 2 here. So corner frequency is the frequency where the slope of the asymptote will change. So in the plot, I will show you which is that corner frequency. And you should also, just a minute. So you have to first find out for the first factor what is the magnitude. So I taught you like how to find the first value. You have to find what is the first factor, that you take it as y of j omega. Then you take 20, find out the magnitude of that. Then take 20 log on both the sides, and then find evaluate it at omega is equal to zero point 0.1. So I think that you are aware of how to prepare the magnitude plot table. So if we see that for the first factor what we have written, the magnitude is 54 dB at omega is equal to zero point 0.1. And since we have j omega in the denominator, the slope due to this factor is minus 20 dB per decade. So this is minus 20 dB per decade till we reach the first corner frequency, that is omega 1. So this omega 1 is nothing but this omega 1. This omega 1 is nothing but the corner frequency that we get due to the second factor. Omega 2 is the corner frequency that we get due to the third factor. So we know how to find the corner frequency also. It is 1 divided by coefficient of j omega. So here we get it as 2, here we get it as 20. So based on the corner frequency, we try to arrange the factors in the ascending order. So now we have found the next slope. The next thing is we have to find the next slope between omega 1 and omega 2. So that is nothing but the slope due to this factor. Since we have j omega in the denominator, it is minus 20 dB per decade plus the slope due to the previous factor. So previous slope is minus 20. So minus 20 is minus 40 dB per decade. For the last one, next slope omega 2 onwards. So it is the slope due to this minus 20 and the previous slope is minus 40. So it is minus 60 dB per decade. So now we know how to prepare the magnitude plot table. So now I will tell you how to sketch the magnitude plot on the semi-log graph sheet. So this is your semi-log graph sheet. So you can see here the top darkened line what we have here is the magnitude plot, and the bottom dark line what you see here is the phase plot table. So we see that both the magnitude plot and the phase plot are sketched in the same semi-log graph sheet. So now I will first teach you how to take the scale. Since we have evaluated, we have started the value of omega from 0.1. So you remember that we have evaluated the value of omega from zero point 0.1. So you can see here the x-axis is omega in radians per second. So this is, since this is log scale, they have mentioned omega log scale, but omega is in radians per second. So this omega what we have is common to both the phase plot as well as the magnitude plot. So now just below the graph sheet, just mark the omega value. So let's start with omega is equal to zero point 0.1 because we have evaluated y of j omega at omega equal to zero point 0.1. So now start this at zero point 0.1. So if this is zero point 0.1, this line, just see the cursor here, this line will be 0 0.2, this will be 0 0.3, 0 0.4, 0 0.5, 0 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, and this will become 1. So if this is 1, then this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. The next one will be 20, 30, 40 till 100, then 200, 300 up to 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000 up to 10,000. So this is how you prepare the x-axis. So x-axis is in radians per second. Now you have to go to the top of your seminar graph sheet. So you can see that the numbering is done here. So it's better always to do the numbering on the bottom side so that it will be easy for you to read the values when you are sketching. So now after you have done this, the next step, what you're supposed to do is you have to go back to the magnitude plot table, what we had prepared. So if you just see the magnitude plot table here, we see that the magnitude is 54 dB at omega is equal to 0 0.1. So now first at omega equal to 0 0.1, I have to mark this magnitude, that is 50 dB. So to do that, I will go back to the plot here and you can see here it is 54 dB. So what I'll do is I will see like each division on the left hand side, you can see here each division I have taken it as 20 dB per decade. So each division I am taking it as 20 dB. So if this is 20 dB, so I will mark one reference line, and always how you have to start also I will tell you. So if you just look into the table here, you have the value as 54 dB. 54 dB means you start the magnitude plot table from 60 dB. So if you are starting it from 60 dB, then your table will plot will look like this. So the top one will be 60 dB, then 40 dB, 20 dB, and 0 dB. For example, if your plot, if it is having the value something like 65 dB or something, then start your plot with 80 dB. So this will be 80 dB, this will be 60, 40, 20, and this will be 0. So based on the value what you have got, the magnitude, so you try to decide the value there. So now, since I have to plot 54 dB, I think 60 dB would be sufficient. So I'll start the table from 60 dB, then go to 40 dB, 20 dB, 0 dB. So each division is 20 dB here. So each division is 20 dB here. So now, on the y-axis, when I say magnitude plot, it is nothing but the magnitude, that is the magnitude of g into h of j omega in dB. G into h of j omega in dB, and the phase plot is nothing but phi of omega. Since if I write it both on the left hand side, it will be confusing. Since both are on the y-axis, I have written g into h of j omega on the left hand side and phi of omega on the right hand side. So first we'll not worry much about the phase plot. I will only tell you about the magnitude plot here. So now, since we have this, after we have done this, the next step is to mark the magnitude 54 dB. So in this graph, which is the printed one, you cannot see the lines here, but if you see the actual semi-log graph sheet, between 0 to 20, you have 10 lines there. You will be having 10 lines. So it means that each division is equal to 2 dB. So like that, we'll have 10 divisions here. So each division is 2 dB. So like that, we would have calculated 40 dB, then 42, 44, 46, 48, 50, 52, 54. Just mark what is that 54 dB. So after you have marked that 54 dB, so you can see here, this is your x-axis is your omega. At omega equal to zero point 0.1, we have marked 54 dB. So that is all we have done. Next, what is that they are telling? So if you see the table, the magnitude is 54 dB at omega equal to zero point 0.1, and they're telling that the slope is equal to minus 20 dB per decade till omega 1. So till omega 1, when I say omega 1, so you have to know that omega 1 is nothing but the first corner frequency where the slope of the line will change. So you have two corner frequencies here. One is 2 dB and the other one is 20 dB. So before that, what you do is you go back to the table and just mark only that line 2 dB and 20 dB. So which is your 2 dB line? So this is your 2 radians per second corner frequency omega. This is your omega 1, 2 radians per second, and the other one is 20 radians per second. So this is your omega 2. So here you should have marked, if it was marked, it would have been easy. So just remember here, this 2 is your omega 1, this line, and this line is your omega 2. So let me just go up and see whether it is marked here. No, it is not marked here. So you have to just remember that 2 is your first corner frequency, 2 is your first corner frequency, and 20 is your second corner frequency. So that you mark it on the x-axis only as omega 1 and omega 2 when you are sketching, so that it will be easy for you later. So after you have done this, the next thing is to draw the line which has slope equal to minus 20 dB per decade. So how do we do that? So to do that, what you're supposed to do is you have your 0 dB line. So just see your 0 dB line and see where is your 1 here, omega equal to 1. So join the points from 20 to this point, 40 to this point, and 60 to this point. So this 1, omega is equal to 1, is intersected with the 0 dB line. 0 dB line. See where is that point? Just join that points all to 20, 40, and 60. So you can see you have got 3 dotted lines here. So the first dotted line will represent minus 20 dB per decade. The second one will represent minus 40 dB per decade. And the third one will represent minus 60 dB per decade. So so these 3 lines, dotted lines, what you have drawn, it is for your reference. So it is for your reference to draw the other lines whichever is asked in the problem. So the one which you already prepared in the table. So to draw those lines, these dotted lines are kept as reference lines. Now, if I want to, the first thing, if I go back to the table, I see that for the first line, the magnitude is starting at 54 dB at omega equal to 0.1. Slope is minus 20 dB per decade till omega 1. So till 2 radians per second, I should draw a line starting from 54 dB having a slope equal to minus 20 dB per decade. So this is what I am supposed to do. So now what I'll do, I have marked this 54 dB, and now I should draw a line which is having the slope minus 20 dB per decade till omega 1 is equal to 2. So this is the first corner frequency. So I have to draw a line having slope minus 20 dB per decade starting from 54 dB. So how to draw this line? So there are 2 different ways of drawing this line. One is, when I say minus 20 dB line, it means that I have to draw a line parallel to this minus 20 dB dotted line. So this minus 20 dB line is the reference line. So for drawing that, you can use a sliding ruler. So you can get it in the bookstore. You have something like a protractor. Along with on the other side, you have a slider. So you can just keep the slider parallel, just directly on this, and just move the slider so that you can draw the line parallel to this minus 20 dB per decade. So if you are using the sliding ruler, that would be very easy. So that doesn't cost much. It is around 20 rupees or something. So if you buy that, it would be very easy for you to draw a line parallel to this minus 20 dB per decade line. So you see that, so this is one way. This line has to be drawn till omega 1 is equal to 2. So you can see from omega equal to zero point 0.1 till omega equal to 2, I should draw a line having the slope minus 20 dB per decade. So this is one way. Or the other way is, I can better, this is also an easy method. If you just have an ordinary protractor, just measure this angle. So just look at the cursor here. Let's just look at the cursor. So take this as the reference line and measure this angle. So this angle is measured from this is your reference line, measure this angle. So find out what is this angle. So I'll call this angle as X. Next, from this line, this is your minus 40 dB line, measure this angle. So this, you get it as angle Y. Just see this line, this is your Y. Similarly, from this line, measure this angle, I will call it as angle Z. So if you have measured angle X, Y, Z, just measure it and keep it somewhere. So this you can, because any similar graph sheet they give you, this angle will not change. So if you just remember these angles, then it would be very easy for you to sketch the plot. So measure these three angles. So this is your X, this is your Y, this is your Z. So now what you can do is, the other way is, just draw a line at 54 dB. Just draw a line parallel to the 60 dB line and measure that angle. So I want to draw a line with slope minus 20 dB per decade. So it means that draw a line here parallel to this line, horizontal line, and then measure angle X, because X represents minus 20 dB line. So measure this angle X and mark it here, and then you have to join that line from 54 dB and go up to omega 1 is equal to 2 radians per second. So now from omega equal to 0.1 to 2 radians per second, we have a line with slope minus 20 dB per decade. So next, when I go back to the table here, students, are you able to understand what I am telling you? Are you able to understand? Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello? Okay. So now, if I go back to the table again, so I see that the net slope between omega 1 and omega 2. So omega 1 and omega 2 is minus 40 dB per decade. So when I say omega 1 and omega 2, it means that the slope between 2 radians per second and 20 radians per second is minus 40 dB per decade. So that I have to mark now. So now I go back to this plot here. So this is your 2 dB, 2 omega is equal to 2 radians per second. So this line has ended here. So now between this 2 radians per second and 20 radians per second, this line, I have to draw a line having slope minus 40 dB per decade. So again what I'll do, I'll just draw a horizontal line parallel to this line, and then I will measure an angle Y. So Y is nothing but this angle. So this angle I will measure, and I will mark the angle Y, and I will extend that line till I reach this 20 radians per second. So once you understand how to do this, the next procedure would be very simple. The last point in this, so you can see here the net slope omega 2 onwards. So it means the net slope 20 radians per second onwards. It is minus 60 dB per decade. So minus 60 dB per decade means from omega 2 onwards, that is 20 radians per second. I have to draw a line till the end, so that the slope is minus 60 dB per decade. So what I will do, I'll just extend this line and I'll go till the end. So they have stopped it here. If you want, you can extend it till the end. So start it from here. So measure angle Z. So this angle, because I need to draw a line parallel to 60 dB per decade. So now draw a horizontal line, measure angle Z, and draw a line with slope minus 60 dB per decade till the end. So this is how you sketch the magnitude plot. And you can observe here that since we have three different factors, I have got three different lines having three different slopes, and you can see the slopes are changing at the corner frequency. So this is omega 1, this is omega 2. So you can see the slope here was minus 20, then it became minus 40, and then it became minus 60. But where it is changing? It is changing from minus 20 to minus 40 at 2 radians per second, minus 40 to minus 60 at 20 radians per second. So this the frequency where the slope is changing, that we call it as the corner frequency. So that is nothing but your omega 1, omega 2. So I repeat again, corner frequency is the frequency where the slope of the line changes, or the slope of the asymptote changes. So this is how you plot the magnitude plot. Next, we have to now sketch the phase plot. So now for the phase plot, your x-axis will remain the same. Your x-axis will remain the same. Your x-axis is again omega only. But what is your y-axis? Your y-axis is phi of omega. Phi of omega is in degrees. So this is your y-axis. This is, you could have written it on the left side only, but since I have marked the magnitude in dB on the left hand side, I will write the phase angle on the right hand side so that these two values will not overlap on each other. Okay, so now omega is common to both the plots, but the y-axis is changing. So now what I will do, I will again, the angle what I get is again dependent on the table. So I'll just go back to the phase plot table. We go to the phase plot. This is the magnitude plot table what we used earlier, and now this is the phase plot. To get a phase plot, this one we first wrote the phase angle equation, and then we varied omega, and for different values of omega we found what is phi of omega. So again you see here omega is in radians per second, and phi of omega, the phase angle, is in degrees. So this phase angle is nothing but the phase angle of G into H of j omega. So what did I tell you? When you prepare the table, we are not interested in what value, from which value of omega you take, because that we cannot decide it immediately. We are interested in the value of omega for which you get minus 180 degree. So once you get the value of omega, this is by trial and error, or as I said you can just use this procedure. Substitute your phi of omega as minus 180 degree and then solve for your omega. Or you can do it by trial and error method, but trial and error will take more time. So there you have to be very careful. So find out for what value of omega you get minus 180 degree. Just take three values above this, three values below this. This table I have just copied it from the textbook as it is. So there are so many values in that. For time being, when you're plotting, don't waste your time in the exam by calculating for so many different values. Just take three values above and three values below. So after you can see here the 6.32 at omega equal to 6.32, you get minus 180 degree. So you can see the range here. So the range is, it is starting from minus 140 and it is going up to 220, almost around 220 degrees is going up to. So what I'll do is, depending on the values I get here, I can decide the scale. So I will decide the scale. So each division, this big division what I have, I will take it as 20 degree each. So each is 20 degree. So the maximum value what I have got is minus 220, then minus 200, minus 180, minus 160, minus 140, minus 120, and so on. So I can do like this, or I can start the value from minus 240, then minus 220, minus 200. So likewise, I can decide. So it's an option that is given to you. You can decide the value however you want. So if each big division here is equal to 20 degree, then each between this minus 220 and minus 200, there are 10 divisions here. So each division will be equal to 2 degree. So 2 into 10 is 20 degree. So likewise, you can either start the table from minus 200 or you can start it from minus 240 depending on the value what you have got. For example, if your value, so you if you just see the table here, the values are starting from minus 140. So minus 140 means you can start your table from minus 220 also. If you had got the value as minus 160, then you could have started the table from minus 240. So it all depends on you how you take the table. That doesn't make much difference there. So now after you have done this, now for different values of omega, now sketch the value. I'll just take one value here. For 2 radians per second, the angle is minus 140 degree. So you can see here for 2 radians, omega is equal to 2. So omega equal to 2 is this line. Omega is equal to 2. The phase angle is minus 140. So minus 140, see where it will intersect. Just mark this point here. Just mark the point. Next, when omega equal to 3, it is 155 degree. It is 155 degree. So when omega is equal to 3, it is 155 degree. So based on that, so you this is here minus 160. So 150 will come somewhere here in between. Then come 3 division to 1.5 division down and mark that. So likewise for different values of omega here on the x-axis, look into the angles on the y-axis and just mark all the points whatever you get. And then after that you have to join all these points using a smooth curve. So in this problem it is looking like a straight line, but it need not be a straight line. It can be a curve, or it can be a spiral, or it can be a wave like structure. It can be anything. So in this problem only it is looking like a straight line, but it need not be a straight line. So just you have to join all the points using a smooth curve. So this is what you are supposed to. Okay, now quickly all of you mark your attendance. Okay, so now after you have marked this, so this is very important which you are supposed to do. You have to see, you have to mark this line. 6 omega equal to 6.32, you have minus 180 degree. So now go to that omega is equal to 6.32. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So between these two lines you have 10 divisions. So 6.3, and just go straight and mark your minus 180 degree. So minus 180 degree line will intersect here. So this is your 6.32 line. So after you have joined all the points using a smooth curve, the next step is to find out what is the gain crossover frequency and what is the phase crossover frequency. So this is not explained anywhere. So just be alert and listen to what I am telling you. So there are two different, in this Bode plot, after you have sketched the magnitude plot and the phase plot, you have to remember 4 very important parameters. One is gain crossover frequency, that is omega g. Next, phase crossover frequency, that is omega p, omega subscript p. Then you have something called as the gain margin, and then you have something called as the phase margin. So you have four different factors which you are supposed to find out from the Bode plot. So in the exam, after you have sketched the plot, you have to find out and you have to write what is omega g, what is omega p, what is gain margin, and what is phase margin. So let me take the first one, gain margin. So you can see gain margin is represented by omega subscript g, omega g. So gain crossover frequency is the frequency where the 0 dB line, you can see this is your gain line here, or the magnitude line. See where your 0 dB line will intersect your magnitude plot. So you can see here this 0 dB line is intersecting the magnitude plot at some point, and that point we call it as the gain crossover frequency. So gain crossover frequency is the frequency where the 0 dB line will intersect with the magnitude plot. So this is your gain crossover frequency. Similarly, see where your minus 180 degree line will intersect the phase plot. So see where it is intersecting the phase plot. So minus 180 degree line will intersect the phase plot at some point. So that is nothing but your phase crossover frequency. So the line where the frequency where the minus 180 degree line will intersect the phase plot is called as the phase crossover frequency, and the frequency where the 0 dB line will intersect the magnitude plot, we call it as the gain crossover frequency. So this omega p you would have already calculated. So this is already there in your table. See, this is your omega p. The 6.32 what we have got is nothing but your omega p. So minus 180 degree line will intersect your phase plot at 6.32. So this is nothing but your omega p. For omega g, you have to find it out from the table only. So after you have done this omega g and omega p, the next step is to find the gain margin and the phase margin. So this is little confusing, but be alert and listen to what I am telling you. I will repeat this once again if you want. So now, after you have found omega g, omega p, next what you are supposed to do is, you have got this point omega g. From that point, just come straight down and see where this dotted line will intersect the phase plot. From omega g, come straight down and see where it will intersect the phase plot. Similarly, from your omega p, go up and see where it will intersect the magnitude plot. So you get two more points there. So those 2 points what you get, you have to measure it from the 0 dB line, and you have to measure it from the minus 180 degree line. So I'll repeat again. Omega g you would have got here. Come straight down here and it will intersect the phase plot at some point. Okay, so now that point what you have to measure it from the minus 180 degree line. So this minus 180 degree line, 0 dB line are your reference lines for calculating the phase margin and the gain margin. To measure the phase margin, minus 180 degree line is used as the reference, and to measure the gain margin, 0 dB line is used as the reference. So now, from what you are supposed to do is, from the 0 dB line, from minus 180 degree line, measure where is that point where which intersected. So measure this value, you get some value. So this line is the reference line. If you are having this point, just see the cursor here. So this point, if it is lying below the minus 180 degree line, then take the phase margin to be negative. So this is the normal one. If you have a reference line, if the point is lying below the line, minus 180 degree. If it is lying above the line, it is plus 180 plus it is a positive angle you take. So now this point, so from omega g you came down, it is intersecting the phase plot at this point, but this point you see that it is below the minus 180-degree line. So the value what you get here is nothing but the phase margin, and it is nothing but negative. So for this problem, you get the phase margin as minus 15.52. If you had this line in this way somewhere, so it would have intersected somewhere here, then that point would have come above the minus 180-degree line, and then you should have taken the phase margin as positive. But since when you come down from omega g, you get a point where it is intersecting the phase plot, but this point is below minus 180-degree line, so it is negative. Now, likewise, from omega p, go up, see where it is intersecting. It is intersecting, see the cursor here, it is intersecting at this point. So measure that angle from the 0 dB line. Measure that angle from the 0 dB line. For the phase margin, if the point is below minus 180-degree, you take it as negative. If the point is above minus 180-degree, you take it as positive. But for the gain margin, it is opposite. If the point is above 0 dB line, we take it as negative. If the point is below 0 dB line, we take it as positive. So now you can see here from omega p, I went up and I got a point here. So I see that this point, just see the cursor here. So this point is above the 0 dB line. Since it is above the 0 dB line, I have to measure it, and I see that it is minus 8 dB. Always remember, gain margin is in decibels and phase margin is in degrees. Because for measuring the gain margin, 0 dB line is taken as reference. For measuring the phase margin, the minus 180-degree line is taken as reference. So you have to remember this. For the gain margin, if the point is above, it is negative. If the point is below, it is positive. For the phase margin, if the point is above, it is positive. The point is below, it is negative. So here minus 180-degree line is taken as the reference. Here 0 dB line is taken as the reference. So after you have measured all these things, first very important thing, to check for the stability of the system, you have to see whether gain margin and phase margin both are positive. If both are positive, only then the system is stable. If one is positive, one is negative, then the system is marginally stable. If both are negative, the system is unstable. Okay, I repeat again. For a system to be stable, the gain margin and the phase margin both should be positive. If one is positive, one is negative, the system is marginally stable. If both are negative, both phase margin and gain margin, both are negative, then the system is unstable. So for this system, we see that gain margin is minus 8 dB, phase margin is minus 15.25 degree. Since both are negative, the system is unstable. So that is what I have mentioned here. You can see here from the Bode plot, we see that the gain margin is minus 8 degree, phase margin is minus 15.25 degree. Since gain margin and phase margin both are negative, the closed loop system is unstable. So this is how you sketch the Bode plot and decide whether the system is stable or unstable. Okay, students. So if you have any doubt in this, to find the gain margin, phase margin, or the gain crossover frequency, phase crossover frequency, you can ask me again. I will repeat it once again, because the next class also will be taking up some more problems on this. So that time I might not repeat all these things. So if you have any doubt here, you please ask me. I will explain it once again. Please don't feel hesitant to ask. If you have any doubts, you ask me, I'll explain you once again. Hello? Hello? You have to interact with me. If you are silent like this, then I will not understand. If you have any doubt, you please ask me. I will repeat it once again. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you have any doubts? Do you have any
Have
doubts
any
or do
doubts
you
or you
want?
want? No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, anybody
No,
else?
ma'am.
Bhanu, Pranay, Sai, Chiru, only
No,
No,
ma'am.
Sai,
ma'am.
others? Yes, okay. All of you have understood what I explained. So what you can do is, if you have Ganesh Rao textbook or any other textbook with you, just take up any one problem. The phase plot and the magnitude plot table will be there. You just see like how the plot has been sketched, and from that you try to find out what is the gain crossover frequency, what is the phase crossover frequency, what is the gain margin, what is the phase margin, and then you decide whether the system is stable or unstable. So Bodeplot, if you understand, actually it is very easy. But if you know the tricks and tips how to proceed further, it is very easy. If you don't understand, then it will take a lot of time. And one more thing I wanted to tell you, when I prepared the table, I said take only three values above and three values below, and I also said you to leave some place below, because in sometimes while we are preparing the table, we might have skipped some values. For example, let me just go back to the plot and show you. Let me assume that I have calculated some values, and I would have calculated from, this is your omega, no? Omega is equal to 2 to omega is equal to 7. I would have calculated the values from omega is equal to 2 to omega is equal to 7. I'll assume that I have values only from 2 to 7. Because 6.32, I would have already got the value of omega, for which I get minus 180-degree line. So what I would have done, I would have stopped the graph here itself. But to find the phase margin, what I should do, I should see where the 0 dB line will intersect the phase magnitude plot. I get omega g. From there, I should come down and see where it will intersect the phase plot. But you can see here, it is intersecting the phase plot at 10.2 or somewhere, 10.2 or 10.1 somewhere here. But if I have if I have plotted the graph only till omega is equal to 7, I can never get this point. So in order to get this point, what I should do, when I come down, I see that I need a value here wherein my omega is something greater than omega 10, omega equal to 10. So what I will do is, I will take some values after 10. So if I've got the value at 10, I will, if I've stopped it at 7, then I'll take 9, then I'll take 10, then I'll take 11, and I'll stop the problem. I need not have to calculate all the values here. So now, after I get come down, I can, when I join those points, I obviously I will get this point. So this point is very important. If I'm not sketched the graph till the value that is required, if I have stopped it at omega is equal to 7, this point I will never get. So in order to get that point, that is why I said you just leave some place empty at the bottom. You calculate it only till omega is equal to 7. Then later from the graph you see like till where you want. Then if you want it till 11, calculate the value and then you can stop it there. So there you will get it. But for the magnitude plot, you will not find any problem. From omega p, when you go up, obviously you will get this point. So that is not a problem. But here, this problem sometimes, if you miss out this point, then you have to be very careful. So so this is one problem that I've taken today. So apart from this, if you have any doubts, you can ask me now. So this last 10 minutes is for the interaction. So any doubts you have, anything, any simple question also you have, you want to get it clarified, you can ask me now. I want this 10 minutes, last 10 minutes to be interactive session, because all this 50 minutes only I have been speaking. So it should not be one-way communication. So I want response from the other side too. So please reply. If you have any doubts, you ask me now. I'll give you one or 2 minutes time. You can just ask me if you have any doubts. Because when we do body plots, students get so many doubts. But I'm really surprised why you are not getting any doubt. Now I'm doubting whether you people are listening or not. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me now. Even if it's a simple doubt, also no problem. Please feel free to ask me. There are so many I don't know why nobody is asking any doubt. Akash is there, Nabankur is there, Nishant, Rajwal. So I think I should only ask you some questions in between. Satyam is there? Satyam, hello? So if you're not asking me, I'll only ask you. Satyam, 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 can you hear me? Satyam, can you hear me? Sayan, Sayan, Sai Chiru, can you hear me? Am I audible, Sai
Yes,
Chiru?
ma'am.
Okay. The others, okay, no doubts. If you don't have any doubts, then I will wind up the class here only. No doubt?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Okay, then for today I will stop the class here. In the next class, that is on Thursday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday will not be taking the classes because you have your test. So I think you know about the test procedure. So you will be given 30 objective type questions. So with four choices in each question. So you have to choose one correct answer from that, and you have 30 questions and 60 minutes to answer those 30 questions. So some questions will be problem related also. So all the questions will be from module 1 and module 2. So prepare well and do well in the internals. So this will be considered for your first internal assessment marks. So all the best. Do well for your internals. So let's meet on coming Thursday. So all the best and have a nice day. Bye for now.